with your host, Zach Starr.
What is up, everybody? Welcome back to week 2 of the Zach Starr Show. I'm your host, Zach Starr. I am so excited to be here with all of you. It is hard to believe we're already in our second week. Yeah, I know we did not have a chance to be here Monday for Labor Day. We did get a chance to enjoy it off the air. I hope you all had a splendid Labor Day. I'm so excited to be here today because our guest is a familiar face around here. So I'm pretty used to doing some different shows with him. We'll go into that in just a minute, but just a few housekeeping items I wanted to chat about here briefly. First and foremost, today, anyone that is still interested in joining the show, we do have signups through October, but we do have openings. If you want to come on, have a chance to. We are still running 3 days a week, Monday, Wednesday, and Friday around the 4 o'clock hour. We do a combination of pre-recorded shows that we can debut, or in today's instance, we are as live as can be. We have Jake Perez coming on Friday to chat about life as an immigrant from Puerto Rico, as well as the real estate market, as well as some of the philanthropy work that he does specifically around the Westchester area. And just a few other quick things I wanted to note as well. One lesson that I learned today during a business meeting I had just a little while ago when it comes to potential investors or any kind of connection, never burn your bridges. And the reason I'm saying this, I don't want to put the cart before the horse or anything, but I do have an individual that I'm talking to about my company, potentially something along the lines of investing or potentially just advising. And he's someone that I've spoken to the last few months. And ultimately today we had a really good meeting. I did not think 100% that this was going to be a relationship that was going to last once he had told me before that it was not the right time for him. But don't put all of your eggs in one basket. Don't burn your bridges because you never know when people are there to join you. You never know when they're able to help you out. Never be mean to anyone. Never treat anyone with less just because they're not going to invest or just something along those lines. It's really important that you understand this early in your life, especially for those of us out there that are entrepreneurs that are looking to have a successful business career. So with that being said, that's really my 5 cents that I wanted to add today. It is 3:33 here. We are going to analyze the stock market. We'll look at it once the market's closed. It was closed on Monday because of Labor Day yesterday, more of an up day. We'll take a look at the markets once they close at 4. Overall, we will continue to analyze the state of the U.S. economy. Gas prices continue to drop, so we can see correlating inflation is coming down. We do not know how long this is going to last, but we will get a good look at it. It is September. We are at the end of the third quarter. We're coming to the end of the third quarter, so we will begin to get some third quarter reports, the GDP reports, of course, both those coming in negative in 2 straight quarters, which is by definition a recession. Jobs reports were a little disappointing in August, so we will begin to look and analyze that. And that's the fun of the show because we have, as much as we've talked about finance, as much as this feels like a finance and business show, we really have talked about a lot more. Just to recap, last week on Monday, of course, I came on and spoke about my companies, a lot of the work I'm doing. I have another announcement coming up in just a minute. But I also said this is about having fun. It's about being laid back. I'm the one wearing the suit. I told our guests backstage, it's your time. It's your interview. I want you to relax. I want you to enjoy it. We're going to ask some tough questions. We're going to have a really good time with it. And so that's really what matters on the Zach Starr Show. We proved that Wednesday. We had an interview with Jake Henry. He seemed to have a blast. I had a chance to catch up with him after that interview. He is the founder of Lectra. If you haven't had a chance, look up Lectra Technologies. Really cool thing that he's working on as well. His background is more the biological pharmaceutical side. He is not a background in business, but he still has moved on to learn how to pitch his company, how to build, and how to scale a company, which is really exciting. And Friday, of course, we had Zach Smith on, which was a really fun show. First of all, up to the minute, for those who notice, our camera is no longer orange. It was in a warm setting in the first 2 shows. But right before the show started, Zach, who is a photographer in the industry for a very long time, he said, let's adjust that camera a little bit. He told me some settings to click. I did it, and all of a sudden, it was able to be better. So still working to improve it. The lighting is a little better. So hopefully the camera quality continues to improve. So one last housekeeping item I did want to mention. My company, Wasser Innovations, will be pitching on September 15th in Philadelphia to a group of investors at Morgan Stanley. Stay tuned for that. I will record as much as I can get some recordings of it. We'll see what suit I select for that day as well. I'll be pitching there. Of course, I'll be in November at the Angel Venture Fair. One of these days when we don't have a guest on, I will share a little bit about the Angel Venture Fair. I know with my interview with Jake Henry as well as with Zach Smith, I did touch on it a little bit as that is when I met Zach. But at the same time, this is one of those things where it deserves its own episode. It's a full – I'll just leave it at this. I woke up at 3:50 a.m. that day. I was home by 4, and I was so tired. I was ready to fall asleep. I don't even know how I drove home, and I had to drop off a good friend of mine who came and helped me. I had to drop him off at his sister so she could take him back home. And I'm like, why on earth am I sitting here driving right now? It is well, it was a long day, and I will talk more about that in the future. But that pretty much wraps up any specific items that I have for you all today. Again, we do have Jake Perez on Friday. Next week's guest schedule will come out this weekend. Today, if you have not followed the Instagram or Facebook, take a look. Everything that you need is on there. And then finally, now, without further ado, I do want to introduce our guest today. I almost said co-host because this individual is a sports personality. This is his goal, it's his dream of what he wants to do. Hopefully one day maybe working at ESPN, future Stephen A. Smith. We have worked on a show together for 3 years called the More Than Philly Sports Talk Show. It is far from over. I know we haven't had a chance to get a show, but coming up soon, we're talking about the Philadelphia Phillies, their win last night, as well as a few other topics to talk about, including this weekend. The Eagles are playing against the Detroit Lions. In addition to that, it's just a really good personal friend of mine who I've known for quite a long time. I know he's waiting backstage saying, when are you going to pull me in? So let's do it now. Please welcome to the show for the first time of potentially many, Mr. Gaven Toney. Gavin, welcome.
What's going on, Zach? How you doing today?
I'm good. I'm excited. It's weird. It's different because we are on here. We've I think over 400 episodes, something like that. So it's probably close to 300 or 400 hours of us sitting here talking to each other. So really, naturally, it feels like a normal show. But in reality, as we can see on that side, it is the Zach Starr Show. It's different. We announced it on our show for the first time. You knew about it before everybody else did. So I do want to give you the floor and just give you a chance to introduce yourself to those who are watching the show who may not fully know about us. You can start introducing yourself, talking about your background, but also you can touch a little bit on the show that we do as well.
Well, first of all, I just want to say a couple of things. In your open monologue, when you said about burning bridges, that it works in the business world. You don't want to burn bridges in the business world, but also in life too, Zach. And I'll touch on that a little bit later. But hi, everyone. I'm Gaven Toney. I am one half of the More Than Philly Sports Talk Show. I am a sophomore in college. I go to Westchester University, WCU. Zach Rams up. I'm like Zach said, I'm really into sports. I mean, it's hard because my passion for sports, runs deep, and that's what the talk show, gave us opportunity to do was how can we make sports fun, Zach? How can we talk sports? For those who don't know, Zach said the best. We been friends for a long time, and we used to do this club in our high school. Hopefully, still running to this day. Not the high school, but the club itself. Sports Debate Club, and me and Zach always arguing about sports. If you watch the More Than Philly Sports Talk Show, you guys know the GOAT debate is pretty heated. Zach has his opinions, I have mine, but we used to do that behind, just a group of friends. And a teacher comes up, she says, "Who is that arguing in the hallway? Or who is that arguing?" And it was us. And she said, "You guys need your own show." And we laughed it off, and then give it a couple months and quarantine. And June 1st or June 2nd?
June 8th.
June 8th, wow. June 8th, 2020, the More Than Philly Sports Talk Show was born, and 3 years strong, we're going in, Zach.
Yeah, I think I found our first clip. You can go on there. I mean, this is not only streaming on the Zach Starr Show today, but it's also streaming on both our Facebook as well as our YouTube. You can go on there. You can find the first episode. And it was, I mean, we laugh at it now. Back then it was funny. But you had I think your hair was long then. Mine was pretty short. And you were sitting,
Zach,
you were sitting in a different spot of so was I actually. I was sitting behind my white backdrop, and we're just sitting there like this for the whole show, like nodding, That was like our only critique of the show. You guys were nodding the whole time. Like you have to dial that back. But it's been, I mean, you hit it all exactly. We first of all, I want to go a little more into how we met. We went to middle school and high school together, for anyone who doesn't know, but we actually there were 3 different elementary schools that fed into our middle school. And so I went to one of the elementary schools, and Gavin went to the other, who I actually know a couple of people from there as well. But we didn't meet through school. We actually met through YMCA basketball. And it was those mornings on Saturday mornings at Pierce Middle School. We never were on the same team. Usually the teams, they were all through the Y, but they usually kind of were always the same group of kids with each, give or take a few kids. but we always played against each other, and we were always defending each other. And it was always a good time. And of course, that was the only time we ever saw each other. Right? We never hung out. We never really we knew of each. I don't think we necessarily knew each other. We knew each other's names. We knew of each other, but it really wasn't anything that was like a deep friendship. It reminds me of my friendship with another one of my friends who I met from camp, who also we went to elementary school with, and then we all met up in middle school. But once we got to middle school, we started to get really close, and overall, our love of sports really just kind of started to take over, and we kind of progressed to high school, and that's when we really started to we joined the sports debate club, which is what it was called at the time. We technically changed it to the sports discussion and debate club, which is when we took it over in 10th grade. And then the last 3 years of high school, we talked about it. It became Zoom, unfortunately. The last all of senior year and half of junior year, it was on Zoom. We never had another in person meeting. Little did we know back then that when we didn't have it anymore, it was every Wednesday we had it. And it kind of like our show, it does kind of reminisce a little bit what the club was like, because it really was Gavin and I yelling in the front of the room and the rest of the people kind of chiming in. I would stand at the whiteboard. You remember drawing on the whiteboard and doing all these predictions for the Phillies and the Eagles and things like that. So it really was one of those shows where it almost was like a show. It really was the club that got us unified, and it really made us really strong friends. We started hanging out more. And then, I mean, since June of 20, as if we weren't close enough friends before that, June of 2020, once you started the show, I mean, we did it every day for over a year. And then just as our schedules got busy, we tried to increase the amount of content we packed into each show. And then it just got a little inconsistent, but overall it's still running strong. Of course, as this show grows, so will that. And now that I know how to use TikTok, we're going to use it for the More Than Philly Sports Talk Show as well.
Zach, you dance on it?
On TikTok, no, that's not for me. But the content part is there, and it's really exciting. So overall, I mean, we've known each other for a long time. We really became good friends in the last few years. Really, we spent a lot of time together. We have a chance to go out and eat a lot. We have a chance to travel a lot. That's a story we'll touch on a little later. But overall, it's been a really fun experience, and it goes beyond sports. And I think one thing that people don't get to see a lot, which is what I wanted to bring with this show, people that know me in the business world, they have no idea about what I do on the sports side. People that know me in the sports world have no idea what I do on the business side. So I really tried to find a way to put them together. And so when it comes to our show and everybody that watches us, they have no idea. Gavin, you always bring this up. You guys have no idea what's going on in the background of what we work on elsewhere. And so this show, the goal of this was not just for me to come here and tell you about me, but I believe many people, Gavin, of course, you're one of the first people that comes to mind. There are tons of inspiring stories. There's tons of great opportunities and great experiences, I call them, that people can share with the world. And then anyone who watches this show or watches it later, of course, that's why I invented it. And so this is why we're here. And yeah, I mean, it's pretty much as summary as you can get when it comes to how we met and just some of the early experiences that we had before we started the show.
See, it's like it was one of those things where the Y Basketball League, like it was like the connection. I like you said, like I knew of you, but I didn't know who you were. I didn't know names until I want to say sixth grade. Then just went up from there. But it was just like when I always tell people, because the one question we always get is, where have you guys been when it comes to our sports show? And I always say, it's like I was like, just spending a couple of days in New York and just seeing the business side, especially going up. You guys don't know the amount of business emails and text messages and everything that goes through in just one day. And I know this a lot. I always tell you, I said, the attendance is not it doesn't worry me or any about how the quantity or how many, it's the quality of what you're getting. If we come on once a week, just know that one episode you're getting 100 from him, you're getting 100 from me. But I wouldn't say, for a person that doesn't really know much about the business world, I've learned a lot just being an outsider. The constant email section, waking up, pitching this product. Zach, tell me if I'm wrong. We were on New York and you asked me, what do you think about this color for this part of your product? And I said, I don't know, Zach. I like this one. Like it, every little thing that you could think of, he does it. So when people ask, where you guys been? I'm like, Zach's a businessman. Zach's a businessman. And I said, I'm working on things. We're getting to that later, but I said, I'm working on things too to, improve me in my life too. So I said, it's like, we are really busy. But when we do come on, when the cameras come on, it's always 100. But Zach, going back to the Y days, those are fun. Those are fun. Guarding, locking up Zach. I was the Kawhi Leonard of the Y.
Best defender around.
Best defender out there, and then Zach with his little corner shot three. Jump shot got way better since back in the day, but
As I guess I got thinner, I went from being the big power forward to being a 2 or 1.
that was and
I guess because I didn't really grow much either since then. I've been 5'9" since 7th grade.
but I mean, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter about height, Zach. It's how you use the height maximum. But no one knows as like, and this is why I think this talk show is great, especially this episode today. We finally get to show the other side of us. They know us as the sports guy and me. They know you as a business guy, but they don't know the true friendship that we have outside of our talk show. They like Zach. We went New York twice, the beach, countless lunches, many lunches, great food as well. Zach can don't fool you. Look, don't let the business tie and everything. He could pick some good food now, and and that's why I'm just like excited to like for this episode is because like we finally get to show the other side of us basically.
No doubt, and I mean, no, we'll go beyond that as we get. I think when we saw each other today, we were at the bus stop, and you told me let's get personal today. Let's talk. Let's get into it. And so I mean, we can continue with that now. I do want to talk a little bit first and foremost. I know you mentioned, of course, for the audience about your aspirations in sports broadcasting. What made you decide that this was the path for you? For me, at least, I explained everybody has a calling. Everybody has a destiny of what they should do. And it really should contribute to making the world better. And so to get back to that, how did you know that sports broadcasting, journalism, using your voice, how did you know this was for you?
So let's take it back to the middle school. I was having I had dreams of playing in the league, like every kid does. That you want to play basketball, you want to be the next Michael Jordan, or you're playing football, you want to be the next Mike Vick. I had those aspirations, dreams, but with being having a disability, being a quad amputee and not really having the physical, like I don't know the way to say, but just physically it wouldn't work. And I remember just sitting there frustrated because like I wouldn't believe in the giving up goal. All right, I have a tattoo that says never give up. So I wasn't believing in what everybody was buying about saying you're not going to be able to do this, but maybe you should try this. People have suggested being a sports broadcast for a long time, but it wasn't until I want to say I dislocated my knee in 9th grade, where I'm like, I really can't do this. Like this is not going to work for the future in my life. Like I'm going to have to switch it up quickly. So I thought about it and I started watching ESPN more. My papa watches ESPN every day, so I started watching ESPN more, learning the shows, and I really fell in love with Stephen A. Smith and how he just his approach to sports. Whether it's just, I mean, if you watch the shows, like I take a lot of Stephen A. approach to things. People call me mini Stephen A. When we're debating, but that's how I found my calling. And then I remember just sitting down one night, waking up like, I want to do what he does. I said, I want to do what he does, but I want to do it differently. For when I looked at Stephen A. and Zach, I'll take it personal. There's not a lot of African American men on sports talk shows day to day that does what he does. I mean, you could say Jalen Rose, but Jalen Jacoby always wasn't on. You got Shannon Sharp now because him and Skip and Shannon. But outside of them, it was just Stephen A. for the longest. So when I finally found it out, found my calling and got my passion, I remember, sharing it with people, and they said your personality would work. But the one thing I always told myself is how am I going to stand out from the next guy? And I said I didn't want to be the first, African American man on TV because I'm not. I said I wanted to be the first disabled African American man on television, sports television. It's something because when I looked at Stephen A, he gave me like the hope of like I could do this. Like I could do this. It can happen. So for me, I was like, well, I want to do the same thing too, but I want to give people that look like me a little bit more hope to say, well, if he could do it, so can I. And that's what my calling was. It's not even about my dream. It's about the bigger picture. That's the one thing I started looking at life now is the bigger picture. Sometimes you're not doing it for yourself, and you don't even know. It's like, I mean, you don't know. I picked up a lot of business things from you. I dress a little bit more accordingly, a little bit. I mean, this is all down fresh out of school, but I wear suits a little bit from time to time now. I dress up. I learned some things, and from I realized it's the bigger picture. I said, it's like, I don't think Zach knows, but I study like a book when it comes to business, and that's what I said. Well, I want to be bigger than just a sports entertainer. I joke with myself. I said I want to go down as the greatest to ever do it, not in commentary, but just motivational inspiration. I want to see more people like me in places like that. There's not a lot of us, and if there is, it's only for like special episodes or something. And another to answer your question, even more, another place I got my calling was watching Inside the NBA. You always look at Zach, you always look at TV, and you have to be professional, and then you cut on Inside the NBA, and they're not. So that's when I really found out that outside of watching Stephen A. Smith, it was also where I was able to like, okay, well my personality will work because before I didn't believe it would. Then you, like I said, you cut on, you watch Charles Barkley, Kenny, Ernie, and Shaq and the guys, and you see them having jokes, having fun. I'm like, well, my personality, I feel like will work just as great. If they can do it, so can I.
Certainly, and I mean that's a great way to put it. And it's really just it's a road of uncertainty sometimes, and it's just kind of like you mentioned. I mean, everybody I think in the beginning of their life, at least for me, I always wanted to be a professional baseball player. Everyone who's in sports always at some point wants to believe they can go pro in that sport. And I'm not going to ever sit here and say you shouldn't, even if the numbers are against you. If that's the mentality you have, there's no point in even trying. And looking at it now, even though I didn't do it, I mean, of course, for me, I coach baseball. We talk about sports a lot. I wouldn't have been able to do that if I didn't play for as long as I did or didn't understand or comprehend it. Like you said, I mean, it's really important to be. I'm sure you've heard it, and I don't know if you roll your eyes to it or you just kind of brush it off when someone's like, "Oh, you're an inspiration." It's like I'm just living life, and that's probably yeah. No, go ahead, say what you want to
It
talk
took
about.
it. When people come up, and I've had people tell me that all the time. I mean, Zach, I think we were in New York and someone that said that to me, and I don't mean to be rude. Before when I heard that, I was like, oh man, I'm just another person. I'm just joking. And they're like, no, for real, like you don't know, like you are doing something that is I won't say unheard of, but if someone else is having a bad day, and this is how someone put it to me, one of our former teachers that was in the our sports day club, he said, I always hear you say you don't like you don't get it. Not that you don't get it, but he was like, when I'm having a bad day and I see you walk by, my problems automatically go away because I know you have a harder road than I do. And I looked at him and said, do I really? He was like, you do. He was like, you might not think of it like that because of how you are just able to adapt to everything. You just gotta be quick. You gotta be quick with everything. So when I hear inspiration, I don't roll my I want to say I roll my eyes, but I downplay it because I'm like I didn't do anything yet.
Right.
But I have to start opening my eyes, like I did a lot. But in my mind, I guess I just keep thinking like I didn't make it to where I want to be yet. So don't call me an inspiration yet. But as I going with that meta and narrative, I start to realize why people say it. So when people say it now, I sit back and say, okay, I appreciate it. But I said, but and then I said, I appreciate it. Hopefully, motivate you in, in some way. But I'm not done yet. Kobe Bryant said it best: "Job not finished." Is job finished? Like, I'm not. I'm far from where I want to be. There's a lot of things going on. So it just took me a while to understand the term around that when people said that to me.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure you've heard it all. I've been around you where people just come up and say people have no filter, and it's most of the time it's where pretty much all the time no one's trying to insult you or have any ill intent. It's just sometimes you've heard it, and it's kind of like you said, job's not finished, and it's a good way to look at it, and that's because it's important to be modest and humble in your life. There's people out there that aren't, but I mean, even like anyone when people come up to you and they're like, "Oh, you're an inspiration," or "You inspired me to do this." I mean, it's whatever for you, really. I mean, and hopefully it's not insulting anyone out there who's said it or has thought it. But I mean, the reality is for you, you don't. I mean, this is your life, right? This you don't know any different. You don't get to choose a different way. For anyone out there too, and this is a good lesson for anyone. You have to work with what you're given. And for certain people, they're in worse circumstances than us. They're in better circumstances. It's life. That's how it works. You know, it's how the cards are dealt, and it's not about the cards. You know this because you beat me in poker more than once. It's not about the cards that are dealt. It's about what you do with them, right? It's about how you carry yourself. It's about how you proceed and how you work. And in reality, I mean, you're in college right now. You're doing what a lot of normal 19-year-olds do. It's just there's some things that are just different. I'd say nothing bad, nothing necessarily good, but it's a different way of life. And for certain people that get a chance to be around you and witness it and see how awesome you are and how inspiring. I mean, that's my perspective on it. And then there's people from the outside that just they're learning, and it's not to insult you, but you might get sick of hearing it. But for them, it's just an opportunity to just learn, I guess, or just say something like you mentioned. I think I know what teacher you're referring to when it's like all your issues disappear. I wouldn't necessarily put it that way, but I'd say it shows that there should be fight. I'm not going to sit here and say, you should have everything given to you or everything taken away from you because of so and so. But it's about the fact that just have fight and never give up. And that should really be for anybody.
It's like the way how I treat everything, because every day is a new challenge for me, no matter what it is. I wake up and go to war, not with myself, not with and but just with the task on hand. Every day I wake up, even though I have harder. Like you say, I'm at a school where all my schooling I always had a aide of some sort. You remember Mr. Perry? We all love Mr. Perry. And and I always had hope. I come to college after being out a whole year for senior year to no help. Okay, so I don't have help. I'm by myself. There's no school bus that takes me to and from. What are you going to do? I had to adapt. I had to learn quickly. Trial and error. That's why. That's what a lot of things I do is trial and error. I remember the first week of school. I got hooked up with a SEPTA key card, but I was terrified to ride the public transit bus because I was afraid that I would not be able to pull the cord and miss my stop and ride all the way down to Philly. My mom said, "Well, you gotta be vocal." She's like, "We can't help you if you're not. No one can help you. You're not gonna say what." So before I used to sit. I would go from 10 to 4:30, sometimes 5. And I think the last day, my last time sitting there after school, because like we would sit after school for a little bit sometimes. I was like, I'm tired. I want to go home. I've been here since 10 o'clock. And from that day forward, I ride this other bus, and every bus ride I get on, I'm vocal. And that's what I learned is you have to be vocal. People can't help you without they know. They don't know. And also too is like I'll take it another thing is me as a prideful person who tries to figure everything out. It was a lot for me to be vocal about what I need help with. Like it took a lot out of me to be like, all right, yeah, you have to swallow your pride here and be like, I need help. But at school, I mean, I'm sophomore year. I didn't think I was gonna make it after my first semester at Westchester. Who would have thought I came back for more? And then when the when the summer happened, who would have thought I came back for round two? Uh, it's just beautiful because now that I learned to be by myself, it's like a system. You kind of got it down pat. All right, this place I'm gonna be here. All right, I'm gonna be make it here. All right, I have to leave this class early and make it this class at Park Campus a little bit early. Like you have to communicate with everybody to know what's going on. You can't just be like, well, I'm gonna do this myself and then let's see what happens. You can't do that. I have to tell you, Zach, I need to be at this place, point A, point B. I need to go. And it took a lot because before I used to have people speak for me. Now that I'm rolling by myself, I'm being more vocal about everything. So now when I go to school nowadays, it's easier. I'm not gonna say it's easy because school is not easy, but it's easier for me to go do what I need to do during the day with no hiccups. There's some, I mean, there's sometimes, but that's life. But I made it work. I adapted all the new changes and situation. You gotta be willing to. You gotta be willing to adapt to your environment. It's like you gotta be willing. Like, all right, in the business world, let's test my business out here. Your product
Yeah.
just dropped in the market, right? You're into your product. How do we keep your product fresh? You gotta keep adding on to it. You gotta add new colors. You do this. Me, I view it as okay. You did it one year. The school is gonna throw new challenges at you. How are you gonna be ready to adapt to those new challenges the school brings to you? You got ready to adapt. You got ready to change the game.
No, I mean, you got it perfect. It's all about adaptation, and it goes for anyone in life. For you, you've been used to having an aid over, and it makes life a little easier for you, all things considered. It doesn't make it magically easier, but you still have to do your work and everything like that. But it makes it a little easier, and so that was a big adjustment for you as well to be able to go. And the biggest takeaway that I have from this is you have to be able to ask for what you want. If you want something, you have to talk. People can't read your mind, and it's one of the earliest. The earlier you learn that lesson, the better. People can't read your mind. Sometimes, as smart, I've been in rooms with some smart people. We've all been in rooms with smart people who might be a little too smart for themselves in terms of they don't necessarily put the common sense. They don't click it together sometimes, and sometimes you have to literally spell it out for them, and that's perfectly okay because it's part of the journey. It's part of the experience, and as long as you can do that, it makes it so much easier. You probably felt once you're able to explain like, hey, I got to get off at this bus stop, or this is the deal, or this. You feel good about it too. You feel good that you're able to get it done. You feel good that you're able to speak up for yourself, and it's really important for self confidence. Which for anybody, that's number one priority. You have to feel good about yourself. If you feel good about yourself, you're confident, and allows you to do anything that you need to, specifically, especially if you do things that are against the grain and you're trying something new. It's hard to do that unless you have confidence.
And to go back to the whole bus, I I always try to keep it within like the same three bus drivers. I met two really nice bus drivers my first year, and then when I was leaving early because some days I got let out early, and when I met the guy that took me home every day, he said I got it. And after a while, people start to pick up your tendencies, and they know. And I'll never forget my first time riding the bus. I left early and the bus driver missed my stop. And I used to call my grandma to come outside and to meet me, on the corner. So if I couldn't stop the bus, she could stop it for me. And the bus driver blew by the stop. And I didn't. And when stuff like that happens, everybody's human. Everybody makes mistakes. That's happens. Okay. I don't get mad at anybody that has a profession, especially like bus driving is stressful. You're driving up and down. You have to make sure you get back to where you need to be safe and everybody on board. He looks at me and he goes, "My apologies. I'll do better next time." And me being tired because I'm tired of school. I said, "No problem. I got it. Like no problem. Like it's all right. Like I can walk back." The next day that he sees me, he said, "Hey, that's not going to happen again if you're getting on." And it never happened again. Like he was on point. So and it's like one of those things. He was like, "What other bus do you normally take?" Yeah, I'm gonna communicate with that guy, so like we can have notes. And everybody, all you gotta do is just be vocal. He was like, "We're understanding. We listen. You need help. We got it." And I want to say that's what kind of like helped me take the embarrassment out of asking for help. Like it was embarrassing asking for help sometimes, and that's why I wouldn't ask for help. But like my mom said, and Zach, like you said as well, we're not mind readers. Like you have to be comfortable with confidence in what you need to get done at the test on hand. So it was like a nice little learning experience. I think for everybody in that situation was because he was on point next time, but it also was like you don't get mad for me. Like don't get mad and also be understanding and just be like, okay, this is what I need. How can I get it? And then like I said, I haven't had no hiccups since.
Yeah, I mean, one thing I would say, and this is a really important lesson for not just getting what you need in life, but also in business or anything you're doing if you're getting a job. You don't want to get mad. My biggest thing about myself that is so important that I take such pride in is I'm so calm in situations. And then my family tells me this, and I go through so many experiences where And I mean, you've probably been in a situation where we could have freaked out. We could have had a big deal about it, but we stayed relaxed. For me, my big attribute is taking a step back and just relaxing, seeing how small of an issue it is compared to what we're actually dealing with. When you're relaxed and you're calm, you can actually think and you can come up with a solution to whatever problem you're facing. In addition to that, you shouldn't be a pushover. You shouldn't be quiet and just sit in the corner and be like, "Oh, okay, you missed my spot. I'll just get off and fill yourself." No, you gotta speak up, but you have to also stay relaxed. And so, mastering that balance between being calm and somewhat of awake and complacent is equally important, if not more as important than overreacting. You don't want to overreact, but you also don't want to be a pushover. So finding that happy medium is what's really important to being able to be successful and get exactly what you need and what, in some cases, what you want.
Don't burn bridges, Zach. Cool heads prevail. Cool heads prevail. Sit back, relax. I didn't get upset with the bus driver. I said no worries. I said it's just a small walk back. Cool heads prevail. It's just everybody else would have been like, "Well, that's messed up. I told you." No, that doesn't get you nowhere. That just burns bridges. That just frustrates people, and then everybody. And now you're gonna have you're gonna have a lot of gray hairs. Like you said, stay calm.
Yeah, I mean, one thing to add on when it comes to don't burn bridges, you never know when someone's going to reappear in your life. And I don't know how many experiences, Gavin, you've had. There have been, for me, mostly in business, a few personal relationships. You don't know when someone's going to come back into your life. So you damn well better leave a positive impression. There's an old saying out there: no one's going to remember what you wore. No one's going to remember how you look. No one's going to remember how your hair looked. No one's going to remember any of that. The only thing that someone's going to remember in 5, 10, 15, 20 years from now is how you made them feel. That's so important. I remember every time someone's made me feel good, and I remember when someone's made me feel bad. And if I see someone specifically from high school, if I see someone from high school, first thoughts in my head: how did I feel last time I saw them? For me personally, I never picked on anybody. I never was mean to anybody in high school. Really, I wasn't. I didn't hurt a fly. I'm not saying that to show off. I'm saying that because realistically speaking, when I see people on the streets or the gym or wherever, I have no reason to be afraid to approach them and say, "Hey, how you doing? How you been?" Because when you're nice to people, even if you're not their best friend, it doesn't take anything from you just to be nice. And that's another lesson too that I always like to talk about. It doesn't cost anything to be nice.
Even if they're not nice back. Even if they're not nice back. It's like I've always been nice to people. And even if they're not nice back to me, okay, that's fine.
Yeah, you just let them be the way they are. But anyone who watches this show, my expectation for you is that you always are nice to people. Don't be a pushover. There's a fine line between being a pushover and being nice. I'm a nice person, but I don't want anybody to get away with something with me. If you do me wrong, I will let you know about it, and I'll stay nice. Killing with kindness is one of the expressions that we've heard a lot as well. So, I mean, that's really the key. That's the key lesson to that story there. Just be nice, be a good person. You never know. And that's what I said it to you. You never know when someone's going to reappear in your life.
You never know.
I'm saying it today from the business perspective, but sometimes it's personal. It might be a Wawa, and you might see them. They might be working somewhere. And you might need their help. So don't be a mean person.
Don't be that guy. Don't be that guy where you're always snapping on people, and then in life later when you see that person and they don't want to be nice to you, you say, "Well, what happened?" He was the nicest person. Is that simple? That's simple.
Oh, exactly. Yeah, good point there. So I do want to continue the conversation. I do want to talk a little more specifically about you personally. I do recall I'm always from the business side. I want to kind of switch to as far as kind of innovation is concerned. So first of all, I want to give everyone just kind of a brief overview. If you want to talk about it a little bit, it's technically your condition is a limb deficiency. Is that technically that's what it's called?
Yeah.
My brother did a show on that's why I know. By the way, Jake, happy birthday.
Happy birthday, Jake. I was gonna get
it. Call you Jake. Happy birthday. We will try to cut this.
You didn't call him yet?
I did. I called him.
Okay. Because I texted him this morning. I was gonna say.
I was doing a live call on the show. Maybe we'll do that later. But anyway, so Jake did a really awesome story with Gavin. Gavin had a chance to open up and share a little bit about him. I'll find the link and share that as well. But Gavin, just if you want to go into a brief overview about that, and then I do want to talk a little bit about just technology as well as some of your experiences with innovation and kind of working to enhance your life.
You want me to go over the interview, or you just want everything?
Everything. Give me it all. We'll find some pieces.
Like I said, I was born with limb deficiency, no hands and no feet. Now, I was able to. I mean, that's tough. Zach, I'll be honest, it's hard. There's a physical aspect of it, and then there's a mental aspect of it, and every day there's challenges that avail. Now I remember going into the interview with Jake. We would talk about all like the positive things, like meeting the Eagles and doing it for playing like football, meeting staying center court the Sixers, all that fun stuff. That's the good side. But there's some stuff that that I want to say I want to say I hide, but I keep more to me and in closed doors is like the one thing that Zach I told you on countless times is trying to get my driver's license is like my biggest goal, and it is difficult because there's so many rules and regulations just because of my disability. It makes it harder, Zach. Like for you when you turn 16, right? You got your license when you're 16 or 17.
Yeah, I got my permit 16, the license 16 and a half.
So for you, you were able to go take the test, do what you have to do. For me, there's so many waivers and clearances from the state. It takes so long. It's just exhausting. And that's like my only like that's like I won't say that's a negative side because I will be a driver one day. That's positive. I will be a driver one day. But it's just like everything I want to do is a journey, but I will make it. That's how it is. And I want to say, even though I have, limited vision and disability, I'm still a normal person. Like I'm still normal. I could do the same things that you could do, but just a little bit differently. I could throw a ball, Zach. Me, you could play catch today. I played. Matter of fact, in the video, I played catch with Jake. His spiral was pretty good. Penn State should. I'm not a big fan of Sean Clifford, but we're not gonna get in there. You could do, or when it comes to like writing or like walking. I remember another thing was everybody always says because when I wear my prosthetic legs, and I want to give a huge shout out to these two places, Shriners Hospital, and Prosthetic Innovations. They help improve my day to day life a lot. I know I do not wear the prosthetic legs like the major ones that everybody is accustomed when you think of prosthetics. I'm working my way up to doing that again, but it was just hard. It's kind of hard doing it in a school setting when you're always constantly sitting down. But they enhanced my life a lot. Where before I wouldn't, when I would hang out with friends, I wouldn't really go outside too much. I would have to be more inside. To now, we're walking 30 miles in New York, all boroughs, cross the Brooklyn Bridge, saying from Midtown to downtown, walk around Jamaica Queens, which, but it just like process gave me a new way, a new hope of like living. I'm able to do things. Zach, matter of fact, this is breaking news. I'm getting a prosthetic arm pretty soon. That's move. That's move. I had one before that I had to use my shoulder to open and close, but this one is all left hand based. It's actually pretty cool. When I get out there, I'll definitely show you. But it's just like I never knew. I never would have thought something like that would enhance and give me more opportunities in life than I had already had. And with a limb deficiency, it's hard, but you gotta stay hungry. You gotta keep wanting things. That's how I came. I bioelectric arm. Thank you. It's a bioelectric arm. So my mom in the comments always looking, but it's like I just never would have thought I would be able to do some things. I've heard it all. Limitations. My body will break down. My knees are not sustainable. My hip is rotated. I have scoliosis. I've heard it all. Oh, I'm not trying to discredit doctors, but I don't want to hear that after a while. I mean, Zach, it gets old, man. It
Mhm.
does. I'm all about positive, uplifting, and always looking for the next. My motto is, and if my mom would say, she would tell you is, you would tell me no, and I'm still going to do it anyway, just to make you like a
Do
fool.
it twice.
Do it twice. Matter of fact, we did it 3 times. We walked New York 4 times, 5 times. Think about it. Day trip,
Each
and
one 10 miles a day.
each one 10 miles a day. Before, in the school setting, they wanted me to get in my wheelchair. I would, they would think that that was too long, and I'm not knocking them for that, but I know I like pushing myself to I just want to see for myself. I'm hungry. I want my driver's license. I want to finish school. I want to be here. I want to do that. Even though I have a disability, that's not stopping me. I don't let that stop me. The only thing that stops me is my mind. I mean, Zach, I tell you personally, I go to war with myself mentally because I get frustrated. I get defeated. It gets hard after a while. It gets hard, especially like I said, driver's license. I've been battling with them for the last year, and that's nowhere. And I'm nowhere near. I'm nowhere near finished. Proving people wrong. That's the thing. I like proving people wrong. It makes me feel good about myself, and it makes me stay hungry. Just having goals and like I don't know, just having goals and stay going. It's all that matters to me. Like never like Zach, never settle. Once you
Exactly.
settle, once you get comfortable, then you're lazy. You're lazy. I mean I don't settle. I may look lazy because I sit around, but I'd be damned if someone tell me I'm not doing much because I am. Like that's how I am. I always want to keep going. I always look not for my next high, but my next thing I can conquer. All right, I conquered New York. I stayed, I stayed with you for a couple of nights without any assistance, and I need some assistance. Like we didn't think that was possible. I never took a trip without a family member until this summer. We didn't think it was possible. I survived. Zach, we lived. Your ankle was in shambles, but we lived. I mean, but what I'm trying to say is like just proving people wrong is my favorite thing to do with just having this disability. Because when I do it, I look back and everybody's like, "Well, damn, what else can you do?" And I say, "I don't know. Let's find something else to do." My new thing, Zach, and I want to try this because I know you go skiing, snowboarding. I don't know how the hell I'm going to do it, but I want to do it. See, guys, and this is live. I'm telling you what my next goal is. As long as I just gotta keep myself going. Because Zach, I'll reiterate again. Once I just settle it, it's just like you're bored. You're not doing nothing.
Yeah, I've said, I mean, snowboard, I remember we talked about. I feel like that's something that's certainly, I mean, the word possible is going to be really fascinating. This is kind of why I wanted to have, not just to share your story, which thank you for that. It was very, very good information to share with the audience, but also to talk about why I love entrepreneurship so much because people out there like ourselves who have experience with people that have limb deficiencies or other experiences get inspired to start companies to build products that actually enhance and help your life. It's 2022, and in 10 years from now, I mean, you could have full mobility as a regular. I don't know what there will be out there then. We'll talk in a minute about what you're working on now, what your goals are. But I mean, of course, if someone asks you if you could have fully functional arms, well, of course the answer would be yes. I mean, this is all you know, but certainly from the technological standpoint, what have you kind of share your experience? What type of devices have you used? What type of full prosthetic legs? Of course, you mentioned the bioelectric arm, and then driving too. Share what you've went through with that. As Shriners helped you in developing things. We did a project in middle school developing you a bike. Just kind of give us a little bit of a look of what there is to look forward to technologically for people like yourself that
Sky's the limit.
have deficiencies.
Sky's the limit. Let me tell you guys something. If you want to do something, it can happen. It can happen. Never hear the word. I never want to hear the word won't happen. It won't happen. Like I never want to hear that. It can happen. Zach, we talked about it when we were walking. You said, Let me ask you this question: Would you, if you could switch your situation, or would you, if you could have, I said, nah. My exact answer, and correct me if I'm wrong. My exact answer is, nah, man, I'm good because I'm excited. I'm excited to be part of this community. It's like a brotherhood when you have a person because you can still do what you want to do with that as a normal person. And it's like you said, technology is improving. You got driving cars now. You might not have to drive. Modifications from raising pedals to putting something on a stinger to help you grip it to changing the driver to maybe having buttons where you push a button for accelerate and push another button for braking. To when it comes to prosthetic legs, I had many types of legs. I had legs that were fully functional that weren't fully functional, but they had fully functional legs or prosthetic legs with batteries in them that when you walk, they bend their knees on your own. Then I had legs where I had to kind of, drag my toe a little bit, not drag my toe, but to activate the bend. Then I had legs that didn't bend at all. It's all like this. It's insane how much you can do, and with the way technology is going, it's going to improve. It can't, it will improve. Every day there's somebody thinking about the next guy. Zach, I learned when I was listening, they have a bioelectric arm that has movable fingers. Not one, not two, all of them. Like if you would do like give me like a little like just a little finger movement, like you could do anything, grip anything, and I could write with a prosthetic. Like I guess what I'm trying to say, ladies and gentlemen, is like it just sky's the limit with prosthetics, and they really do change like your life. It really will. It really will. And driving, I'm like I said, I'm diving into nose driving. There's programs, Burma Rehab. There's some other ones. I wish there was a little bit more around here. And the cost is so much. Like it's like 500 for just two evaluations, and $100 or 150 per hour for the each session. And that's not even talking about how much modifications cost. And we didn't even talk about buying a car. So I wish it was a little bit cheaper there, or there was a little bit more help around there. But like I said, I'll figure it out. It's not about how you start, it's how you finish.
Yeah, as you said, the sky's the limit. So, what have you had a chance to personally try as far as prosthetics and cars and things like that? Number two, what have you been a part of in terms of development? And finally, if there is one other thing that you haven't tried yet, what would you like to be a part of in terms of development for people like yourself?
So one thing that I haven't tried yet, that I would like to try, is the running knees. The knees that Oscar ran in the Olympics with. I want to try those one day. Um, Process I've been a part of a whole bunch. From functional to move in the arm. We went from using your shoulder to open and close. We went to in prosthetic. I mean, I had millions of prosthetics. We had suction cup where it would be like a suction. We had this one where it would lock your leg in to this prosthetic. You use a key to like. I got my first at the age of one. My mom said it's true. I'm 19 years old, ladies and gentlemen. They have always been a part of my life, and I had a whole bunch to say. Like I was saying, there's one with a key, suction cup. There's a whole bunch. Whatever you think of, whatever the guys think of in that room, wherever you are, Shriners, prosthetic innovation, anywhere you can, get prosthetics, they're always thinking. They're always thinking. And what I've been a part of just, and me personally, I haven't been a part of a lot, but I've witnessed, I've seen others, and I've seen ways of new thinking, and I've seen how how like the process is growing. Like I've seen people use we're like, well, how's he gonna do this? Like in driver aspect, right? There was this guy, and I forget his name, so forgive me, that didn't have any no arms or no legs at all. And he could drive. He could drive. And it goes outside just that. I mean, it's like you can modify your house. You can lower your count. Like the technology is making a way for people like for a person like me that can live independently easy. It's just all about putting the work in, putting the grind in, and just just not being frustrated. Like I said, the hardest part about this whole thing is just the mental aspect of it. Is I look at a person like you and others and say, well, they're driving, they're 18, 19. Why can't I? And my mom has to remind me. She's like, "You will." It's just you
That
just
patience.
yeah, medication. My mom said the guy that I was talking about drove with a mouth device. Zach with his mouth. It's crazy. It's crazy. I would say if you get a chance to, or anybody, just read into these things. Look into these things. You'll be surprised. You'll be surprised of what is constructed, what is came up with. It just never stops.
Yeah, the reality is people talk about business and corporations and entrepreneurship all the time. And we talk about balance sheets, we talk about income statements, we talk about finance, we talk about investments, we talk about the stocks. The piece of the puzzle that's always forgotten about is the actual product that is being built and the market it is for. And more importantly, the lives that these products will affect in a positive way. My end goal, and Gavin, we've spoken about this off the air, my end goal is to work in venture capital, which in simple terms is investing in other companies' products. I want to help with things like this. I mean, this is something that's inspiring to me. It's inspiring to all of us. And there's so many different opportunities out there for it. And money, I mean, you know this as well as anybody, money becomes the issue. I mean, it sucks. Yeah,
Everything,
so right
everything.
there, so expensive. And trying to figure out a way to make things cost effective and just continue to get innovation so you can live independently, you can have a good life as well. It really is, it's awesome to see from the business side. That's why I love it so much. That's why it's great. I don't do it so I can do credits and debits all day. For anyone who just started counting, they know what I'm talking about. But I do it, and anybody should do it because of the people that you potentially can help while doing it.
You never know whose life you could change with that. It's a shame that everything is expensive. I wish it wasn't, but you know, money does have to be made at some point.
Yeah, I
And
mean, so and one more. So I want to ask you another one. So tying it back to basketball and tying it back to when we were younger, for the most part, I'd say you didn't use prosthetics at all through middle school, right? When did you first start using like actual like, daily prosthetic use?
daily prosthetic uses every day, high school.
And what made you want to do that, or what put you in a position where you felt that you were ready for that step?
Zach, I'll be honest with you. The high school told me and my mom that in order for me to go to go to school uh without any problems, if I wanted to go how you always saw me in middle school and how my friends saw me back in elementary school, anything up to there, I would have to come in sign a waiver saying that if I would get hurt at the school, um, I couldn't sue them. And me personally, I was really hurt by that because I went through a school that was getting renovated at the time at Penwood. Um, and I'm like, I'm not really trying to. I'm not coming for nobody. I'm not coming for nobody's job. Like I'm here to do what I'm trying to do.
Right.
And to not cause any stress on my mom, she said, "We'll sign the waiver." I said, "No, we won't." I said, "I'll play the game." I said, "I'll play the game that they want." So I want to say, freshman year of high school, that's when they really became like an everyday usage for me. Um, and we just went on from there, just like every day. And then went on trips and started hanging out with friends, being more vocal outside instead of being in the house a little bit less. But high school, and it was a sad way of how it happened. But that's what kind of kicked in the everyday uses on my prosthetics.
Yeah, I mean, look, the technology's there, and obviously, whatever you're comfortable with using is what's most important. Your comfort is what matters the most. And I mean, like I said before, guys, I mean, Gavin and I walked 30 miles in New York City. So now, as we wrap up the show, we have to talk about New York City. Um, I'll ask you, what was your favorite moment between both trips? What do you think your favorite moment was?
Ooh, that's hard. That's difficult because each trip and each day had its own agenda to it. Let's see. I think my favorite. See, I need a top five. You can't do that to me. I need a top five list.
You go top five. I mean, look. I mean, just start spitting them out. Let's see what we got. We got
Being at the top of the World Trade Center, that's gotta be up. That's top five. That's top five. Walking across the Brooklyn Bridge, that's also up there. Matter of fact, like, throw the whole day in Brooklyn in there. The whole damn day in
That
Brooklyn
was
in
a
there.
fun day. Really
That
good
was a
day.
fun day.
Good food. We had some great Caribbean food at
Great
lunch.
food. I ate. Look, I always name drop these people, but they're fantastic. They're fantastic people. Um, Definitely going to ESPN Zach on a misty day. On a misty day, Zach, you know my. I get off the train, my heart got broken. We ended up at ESPN. And we're talking to Ryan Clark, Mike Greenberg, Shannon Fry, and Fred Taylor. How about that?
That
And
was the beginning of the trip. That was one way. That was one way to start it.
that was one way to
Went to
start it.
Brooklyn the next day. Went to Queens from there, and then we went to the Yankees game the next day. And then
That was another good moment. It was
Times
hot.
Square going up all the way up to pretty much went to Central Park, and then
You can't say any part of the trip was bad.
mm-mm.
Even Zach, we can't talk about the nightlife on here. We will have to another time. But even going at night, that
Yeah,
was
I mean, before we went to the Rockefeller Center, and one thing too. I mean, Gavin did the subway stairs. I mean, those were the. I mean, we tried to find as many elevators as possible. But
The elevators were just.
Those subway stairs were tough to do, especially if you're going from a express to a local and just keep going down the stairs. If there's not an elevator, it's tough. It's part of it, but hey, I mean, it was fun
doable.
trip.
We did it.
It was a good time.
But honestly, Zach, I'll be honest with you, that wasn't really tough stairs. The toughest stairs had to be going over the
On the
interstate,
bridge,
going over the bridge, trying to
yeah,
get down. That was tough.
that was really hard. Really hard.
That was tough.
Near Canal Street, I forget where. We had to ask the officers for a station where we were walking in the road illegally, but they helped us out.
And I'm not from around there. It's not legal. You know.
Certainly. Well, Gavin, is there anything else that first of all, this is not your last time on the show. It's not the last time we're on the show together. Obviously, we'll probably be on tomorrow doing the More Than Philly Sports Talk Show. But is there anything else that you wanted to share with my audience today? Anything from the business side, personal side, sports side, anything really that you wanted to share?
Don't stop. Don't stop. Keep going. Be hungry. Don't settle. You know when I'm going to be done, Zach? And I said, job is finished. When I get to the top, when I reach all my goals, and even by that, I still think I'm not going to be done. It's going to be a long road. It's going to be a long fight. You're going to be frustrated. You're going to be upset sometimes. You're going to be angry. But don't stop. I'll be damned if you say, you know what, I gave up, I'm gonna be mad. Never give up. Just keep going. I'm gonna keep going. Zach, you're gonna keep going. That's how I just live. Just never stop. Keep going, and when it's done, it's done. Matter of fact, I'll leave you with a better quote. In order to do what you want to do, you got to do what you have to do. Zach, in order for you to be, the greatest businessman of all time, you have to, go through all the trial and errors with your company. In order for me to get to where I want to be, I had to go through school and stuff. Do what you have to do so you can do what you want to do. And I'll leave it like that.
Good way to end it, Gavin. Everybody, Gaven Toney here today. Gavin, thanks for being on the show. Stick around back.
Thanks for having me. Honor.
What was that?
It's a hell of an honor.
We had a fun time. We were your guest 3 of many. We have a lot coming up, Gavin. You'll be back. Hopefully in October we'll fit you back in. But this has been great. It's fun. It's different. We spent a lot of time next to each other on camera. Certainly a different feel, though. So much appreciated. Thanks for coming on.
Appreciate you having me. Congratulations on the show. I love it.
Thank you, man. Hang around backstage. We'll chat afterwards. Before we wrap up today, everybody, again, Gaven Toney coming on. Gavin, thank you so much for coming on today. We are going to wrap up today with the Zach market check. We are going to check real quick. It is currently 4:34, so the market has been closed for a little while. Today, the Dow Jones Industrial average up 1.4%, S&P 1.8%, and the NASDAQ 2.14%. Oil continues to fall, 81.66 for a barrel. That's down 6% on the day. Gold as well, going up today. Just a pretty good day as the NASDAQ broke its 7-day losing streak. A lot going on. Federal Reserve keeps talking. Investors keep talking to them. We are very close to Apple's release. Apple stock is something to watch this week. The iPhone 14 is expected to be announced early next week, so that's stock to keep an eye on. The cruise lines as well. A lot of announcements going on there. I will cover that and more on Friday. Live trade is coming up. We were going to do a live trades on Monday, but because, of course, of Labor Day, the markets were closed. I know some people have requested that, so we will continue to cover that here in the near future. We're back Friday, interviewing Jake Perez, talking the real estate market. Bring your questions for the real estate industry as well as immigration from Puerto Rico, where Jake is from. So we're going to talk all about that and more here Friday on the Zach Starr Show. I want to thank you all for joining myself today. I want to thank Gaven Toney for coming on as well. I'm Zach Starr signing off from the Zach Starr Show. Till next time,